Birmingham has a legacy of Black entrepreneurship that people don't even realize was nationally significant. We want to perpetuate that history. Entrepreneurship gave Black folks the freedom to live, move, and be. Fourth Avenue was a place Black folks could just be. We contributed to the growth of Birmingham. But now that Birmingham is on a new path, we have to ask, who gets to be Birmingham? What's up, everyone? How's y'all doing today? Happy March to you. This is How Do I series coming with you on the March tip. This is Elijah. I'm glad to see you all again. So that we are midpoint in our series. We're excited to have some real cool folk coming through us today, but I want to just give you a recap of what we've done so far. We've had, Danielle Ridgway from Covering Your Assets. We've had Carmen Mays, who's Grow with Google coach, as well as Miss Kirby, How to Get Business Insurance. And so we're continuing today with how do I plan my finances as a business owner. So if you're a business owner, make sure that you tag, like, share any business owner that really wants to figure out financial planning, because we are in for a treat today with none other than Isaac Cooper. What's up, Isaac?
Man, how you doing, my brother?
Good. So I know we know each other, but tell the people who don't know you who you are, and we'll get into it.
I'm a father. I'm a husband. I am the CEO of IMC Financial Consulting. Just excited to be here. What brought me to Birmingham was actually through a football scholarship. A good man named Pat Sullivan, rest his soul. Football scholarship to Stanford University, ended up getting into the financial industry. If I'll be completely honest, Elijah, I've shared this with you. If it was up to me, I'll still be playing football. But within that transition, one of the things the good Lord exposed to me as I had to challenge myself from the neck up, right? So playing ball from the neck down, that's when you dominate, but learning how to process your thoughts and identify areas in which you can provide value. It was really unveiled that numbers and the intersection of helping people was going to be a place in which I would essentially be a vessel, right? And so in 2016, we launched our practice, IMC Financial Consulting. I actually started at a Fortune 100 company. I was the only Black in the state of Alabama. And so that was actually the initial, I would say, trigger, right? It was all right. I'm sitting next to these individuals that make $100,000, $200,000 within a month, $1 million within a month, right? I'm sitting next to these individuals. I was at the #1 office in the country. And just seeing the fact that I was the only Black in the state of Alabama, the first thing that came to mind was, all right, if I'm the only one hearing this information about growing wealth, protecting wealth, transferring wealth, who is out here sharing this information, right? So we wanted to make sure that there was a model that allowed us to work with those that was not tied to income or assets, but more so tied to character and conviction, right? Having a character to make the right decisions for you and your family, but also having a conviction to get uncomfortable when necessary to ensure that whatever is needed to sacrifice, we make that happen. So that's me, IMC Financial Consultant. Check us out. We are in downtown Inslee, and of course, excited to be here with my good friends in the district. Oh, you on mute, brother?
Yeah.
You got to hear that good voice.
Your friends in the district, because you do something else too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I am also the chair of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. So right down the street, we are all a part of the same ecosystem when it pertains to the district, not only in preserving the significant steps and sacrifices that have happened in Birmingham, but also propelling, right? So it's on us, everyone that is listening through these airwaves and watching, that is on us to stand on the shoulders to ensure that we economically win the same way in which we've had historically. So excited, very excited.
Most def. So, in one sentence, what is financial planning, man? Clear it up.
Ooh, geez, Louise. Oh, one sentence. Can I cheat? Can I just
Yeah, yeah.
give a
Bring the Rock School of Business out if you need to, man.
yeah, hey, let's do that. Let's do that. So there's steps prior to we get into financial planning. So there's been a lot of conversation around financial literacy, right? Financial literacy, I believe, is the first step. In IMC's definition, financial literacy is a combination of knowledge and action, right? Knowledge of knowing what to do, and being literate enough to act it out, right? So financial literacy is the first step of just awareness and an understanding of terms and certain verbiage to get familiar. Then you have financial wellness, right? What does money mean to you when it pertains to your emotions? So that is a very critical component, because if your emotions lead some of your decisions, your money is going to quickly follow, right? So once you get an understanding of the financial literacy, how money correlates to just your human activity and the decisions you make, then we get into financial coaching, right? So very similar to going to a gym. You actually may know what to do. I know exactly what I need to do. I need to go in here and do some push-ups, some sit-ups, get on this treadmill, but I may not know the portions. I may not know how many sit-ups. I may not know how many push-ups, right? I may need to do more than what I initially have on paper. So I need someone to coach me through it, right? So then you have that financial coaching. Once you get that in place and you're able to you may have a income, you may have a job, you're doing well, you're starting to save a bit. Now financial planning is more of a realized term, right? Because there may be some credit card debt you have to address. There could be some student loan debt. There may be some assets that you're accruing in regards of investments. So there's more moving parts. But again, there is an understanding of the literacy, the wellness, and then as well the coaching that it takes to be able to get to that planning. And then as we go up that chart, you got financial advising. That's more of an investment focus type perspective, more comprehensive tax planning that comes into play. And then, of course, the wealth management. And then, of course, you get into the estate planning of it all. So financial planning is a piece of the, we'll just say, a part of the levels that you experience as your income and your expenses have more responsibilities.
No, that's solid. So tell me this, and I'll just turn it over to you after this to really get down into it. You're a business owner, right? You hustle, you grind. One of the things that we want to focus on is, what does it mean to have a financial plan as a business owner? Sometimes you go to a financial advisor, sometimes, you've got a match plan at your job, but a lot of times, according to some studies out of Investopedia and CNBC, 30 and 40% don't have retirement. They don't know what they're doing month to month. What is that like just experientially as a business owner? And then from there, tell us as a business owner how you address that.
It's a good question. Really good question. Those that are business owners definitely can empathize with the feeling and the notion of feeling like that you are flying a plane and you're building it at the same time. You are trying the best way to navigate in the air, and you look out the window, you see that part of the wing is put together by some duct tape, like you're just trying to figure it out, right? So there is this level of sacrifice, and then as well, I would say awareness that they know walking into that you are ultimately walking away from stability to create stability. So there is a timeline that you have to be honest with yourself about when it pertains to the income that it takes to qualify as stability. Because as business owners, we all know it. You don't just have one power bill. You just don't have one water bill, right? You just don't have rent or mortgage, right? I'm at the office. This costs money, right? I got to pay for this. So there is an overhead that you have to account for, even staff that you have as well, that until you can stabilize your income to address the overhead for the business and the household, it is very difficult to start setting money aside for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road. So the first thing that I would challenge the business owners to ensure that they can crystallize as well codify is their business model and the revenue generating activities, to ensure that as you start to think through, talk through, learn about the retirement vehicles and the products that you can participate in, your business's ability to fund it is not disrupted because 2 years later you shut down, right? And so and that's really the I would say a lot of the foundation with business owners is that their ability to fund a retirement plan is predicated off of their business, operating in a profitable manner, right? And so now there may be a space in which they may have transition from previously. Like, as you mentioned, they may have a 401k. You may have worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield for 5 years and you say, you know what, it's time. I know I make the best, pecan pie in the state of Alabama. I'm going to go out here and slang it out in front of everybody to make sure they participate and support. Well, if you have a 401k or some type of retirement, you can then roll that over into a, personalized plan for yourself. But as you look at some of the long-term vehicles, if you are a business owner and you have staff, if you are in a space to say, okay, income is doing well, we're looking pretty good. I would like to provide some benefits for myself and as well for my employees. Then, we'll be able to look at some of the options, because anything around retirement with my business owners, if two people aren't sitting at the table when you're making this decision, then you're not getting the full perspective. And that's the financial professional in regards to the planner or the advisor, and your tax professional, because there is tax deductible opportunities that may eventually offset some of your tax liabilities. So I don't want to get too deep into that, but yes, hopefully that answers your question.
No, that's dope. So this is a great segue. Hit us with 2 or 3 key points. And then we'll come back and take questions and answers from the audience. Make sure you put it in the chat. Thank you for folks that are liking and sharing, and we'll be right back, tuned in. Right.
Perfect. All right. So really quick, I am going to roll through a PowerPoint presentation that is going to highlight just a few areas that I want us to make sure we keep in mind. So ultimately, when we think about setting money aside for the future, we first have to look at what are some of the aspects of money that we need to take into consideration that eats into the valuation of our dollar. So there's a term that starts with an I. No, it's not not my name, Isaac. It's a term that, it eats into the value of our dollar that quietly happens year in and year out, and that is inflation. So as you can see here on this presentation, that in the 1930s, $1 could get you a full meal at an upscale restaurant. In the 40s, 20 bottles of Coke, right? You jump down to the 80s, 2 loaves of bread for $1. In the 2000s, you could get you a burger. And then, of course, iTunes, you could get you, 1 song download. Now, over a 10-year period, over a 20-year period, you start to feel it, quietly, but it's not until you get into retirement where you say, all right, if I live off of the lifestyle that I have today, if it's $5,000 a month, if it's $10,000 a month, and you say, all right, if I live for 30 years in retirement, and it's we'll just say $100,000 a year for me to maintain that lifestyle. Well, I guess I'll need about $3 million or so, or $30 million or so. And hold on, is my math right? Yeah, so $3 million or so. And so knowing that is a number, you also have to take into account whatever inflation is. And so that $100,000 a year may be more like $72,000 a year by the time you get there. So you just want to take that into consideration. We recently did a podcast, and we talked about how the Chicago Bears, the franchise fee was $100 to purchase the Bears. That's $1,200 today, and that was in the 1920s. And the Bears is worth $3.9 billion today, right? And so just how the value of the dollar changes over time. So this, of course, impacts your purchasing power. The average inflation rate, whenever you run any type of computations or calculations, is on average around 3%. So it's a good number to have. Now, when we look at investing, Investing, as you can see here within this slide, the first bullet point is general financial knowledge. Don't jump into an investment vehicle. Don't jump into a particular product and not understand it. It is critical for you to know what you are putting your dollars into, because that is your money, especially if you are a business owner. And one of the strategies, but also areas that we've been able to witness on how wealth transfers, of course, through bank accounts and property and assets and areas that you can liquidate in some form of fashion. But wealth, true wealth, that's passed down at the dinner table. And so this general financial knowledge is necessary to ensure that legacy is really outlives your assets, and that's the information. Trusted team. Just as mentioned before, it is critical that you have your tax professional and a financial professional sit next to you to ensure that you are capitalizing on any tax benefits or minimizing your tax liability, but also you are clear and confident on the vehicles that you have in front of you. And for some reason, it is your personal financial plan and your business plan are directly connected to each other. Yes, you separate your finances when it comes to your business accounts and your personal accounts, but to say that, I only want to focus on retirement through the business and I'll work on no, they are all connected to each other, because your personal planning only comes to life if your business is operating, right? And so it is very important to know what your month-to-month expenses are, what it takes to run the household, because the last thing you want is an unexpected expense in an area that should be tamed and somewhat controlled, that is not directly tied to the business. So building your foundation comes with eliminating any immediate debt that you have. So any high interest debt, let's make sure we knock that down. Establish an emergency fund. You hear 3 months of bill paying ability. At IMC, we share that it should be 6 months of bill paying ability saved up in cash. And I believe with the most recent pandemic, that actually actualized that statement there. So 6 months of bill paying ability, especially with our business owners, 6 to 12 months. And then identify what's your risk capital. All right, this is dollars that you have the ability to set aside, and if you lose it all in a day, it's okay. We hear a lot of questions and comments around Bitcoin. Should I invest in that? Should I invest in this? Of course, you shouldn't put your rent money into it, but you have to clearly identify what money is can I set aside that I can risk to earn more interest long term, that is not predicated on my day-to-day expenses. And of course, do your homework. Got to do your homework. Do your research. Investopedia. So for those that are watching live, make sure you sign up for an account with Investopedia. It is a free account. What I love about Investopedia is that you have the opportunity to invest through a simulator up to $100,000. Free money, and really get into the market without having to use your money, right? And so it's kind of like going to the pool, dipping your foot in without necessarily getting your foot wet. You also have daily information that it provides when it pertains to investment terms, strategies. So Investopedia is a free platform that can get you really proximate to the long-term vehicles and just the investment world, because the main reason why I am so adamant about language and knowledge and understanding is because when you start to get a better, I'll just say more exposure into the financial industry, you will then come to an understanding that this is a totally different language. This is a language of money. There's just certain terms that you'll be more attuned to due to the fact that you've been doing your research. All right. So common ways people get off track, of course, is not having a clear financial plan. And that's more of their personal plan. Having a trusted team, advisor, and a coach. Of course, you got to make the right choices. So we can get into the legality of the retirement plans, the tax benefits of the retirement plans. But if we don't hone in on the day-to-day sacrifices and the framing and the planning necessary to be able to fuel it, we're pretty much that's wayside, right? We've thrown that by the wayside. So of course, be very, usually I would probably skip over this bullet point, but taking advice from the wrong people. In the midst of the pandemic, there's been an increase of financial professionals that, you know, they may have done a great job on YouTube University on identifying, a few things to talk about, but they may not have the credentials, nor they don't have the accountability to be able to back up any recommendations or feedback they may have for your personal situation. And so just make sure you're taking advice from the right people, and be realistic on your returns. There's a oh, Isaac, tell me somewhere I can double my money in a week or in a month. Well, you better go find your local drug dealer, because that's the best way in which you're gonna do that. High risk, high return. So you want to be realistic on that. Really quick, Roth IRA, traditional IRA, these are two individual accounts to be aware of. That if you are in the process of starting a business, hey, I want to start a business at some point, you may want to be participating in these prior to, based off of the business aspirations. There's some tax benefits that we'll be able to get into at some point. And then as well, I would just say the main types. You have the Roth traditional, and then for our business owners, we have the SEP IRAs. We'll get into this slide here. SEP IRAs, the simple IRAs, the solo IRAs, solo 401ks. There's so many different vehicles, right? So if you are saying, okay, Isaac, I have a business, I am looking to set money aside for retirement. We're doing well. I have different sources of income. I'm establishing a real estate portfolio. Like things are on the up, right? Which retirement plan works best for me? The best way to address that question is going to start with you sitting down with a professional and getting a better understanding of your assets, your liabilities. What's your exit plan with the business? Are you looking to liquidate the business? Are you looking to have someone buy in and eventually? So there's so many aspects of the business. What industry are you in? Do you have any employees? Is it just you? Are you looking to fund this consecutively? Would you like a different type of window to where you can do it, whenever you. So there's just so many questions we would have to get clarity on. How many dependents you have. So make sure that, one, you have an accountant, a tax professional that you can reach out to, and hopefully you're working with right now, because it is tax season. And then, of course, identify a financial professional that you can trust and share those intimate details that will allow them to be able to identify the types of plans that best fit your game plan and your objectives, to ensure that you can get to the retirement time frame in which you anticipate. So I'll stop there, Elijah. I'm gonna go ahead and transition out of sharing my screen and give it to you here, kind sir. And we'll see if there's any questions or comments.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's excellent. And I got my mask on because, we still in the office. So this is COVID for the record, right?
Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
I think it's a good question.
That's really
how
good.
How do you go about vetting a good financial professional? Thank you for that question.
That's a great question, Candace. I think the first step in identifying a financial professional, usually the best way to see is to check your friends and family, right? See if there's someone that they're working with, because they'll be able to give you authentic feedback. Hey, this is what we like. This is what we don't like. Now, if you don't have any referrals there on a financial professional, and let's say you may be doing some Googling, you identify some folks that you probably went to college with or went to school with that you see that may be working with a company. Reach out to them. Say, hey, this is what my goals are. Make sure you're clear on what you're looking to get accomplished. If it's debt reduction, if it's cash flow management, if it's retirement planning for your business, make sure you're very clear on what you want to get accomplished, and see how many questions they ask you. For me, I am not the biggest fan of financial professionals that show up with a packet that already says what their recommendation is going to be before they know who you are, right? So yeah. So if they sit down with you and they're talking the first 30 minutes, first you have to see what your goals and objectives are, and then two, we have to see if we're a good fit, right? And so if whenever you sit down with a financial professional, and even with us, we tell our clients, we're going to be hanging out for about 20, 30 years. So, this isn't one of those things where we like, oh man, we got a meeting with, Danielle today. No, this is life events. We take this very seriously. And so I think the biggest thing is to make sure that you feel heard, and you feel like that is an area in which you can learn. Because in my honest opinion, and again, this is just here at IMC, we ensure that our clients know what they're doing or we're not doing it. If you cannot articulate it, that means you don't understand it. So why would you put your money into something you don't understand? And so the financial industry has not equipped and prepared us as, we'll just say, constituents. We start learning financial habits at the age of 3. Financial literacy is not in elementary school, middle school, high school, and so not even in college. And so indirectly, I believe your financial professional should take you on a journey that exposes you into different educational, we'll just say, to where you can have different educational experiences around the financial framework that is necessary for you to stand up your goals and objectives.
Thank you. We've got Amber Hooks that says, for the 6 months of emergency funds that you recommend, where do you suggest those funds be kept?
That's a really good question, Amber. Going back to the, I'll use this as an analogy. So, today we're talking about the map, right? All right, we're going from coordinate A to coordinate B. Hey, this is how you reduce debt. This is how you save money. But ultimately, I won't know the individual terrains, right? So if we say, all right, if I need to go from Nashville to New York in this vehicle, I may not know that there's a mountain, 8 hours into the trip, right? And which will need a better vehicle to handle that terrain. So the same thing when it pertains to emergency funds. So based off of your terrain, if you say, hey, Isaac, the best way for me to save and to ensure that I don't touch it, because saving is one thing. Like, yeah, I save all the time, but you touched it 2 weeks later, right? So so the best way in which you can save consistently in an environment that will hold you accountable. Prime example, one of the whenever we do presentations for employees, for corporations, organizations, maybe 50, 100, 200 folks, we ask, all right, what has been the vehicle you've been able to save into consistently the longest? Usually it's their 401k. 9 times out of 10, 401k. Oh yeah, 401k. How does that happen? Well, it comes out of my check before I can touch it. One aspect. So with the 6 months of the emergency fund, and I'm gonna talk about the location here shortly with my second point, is making sure it's automatic to where you can't touch it. But the second aspect of that 401k holding that responsibility is this part in which we'll need to get clarity if this will be helpful for you, which is, in order to get your money out of the 401k, you got to fill out paperwork. Imagine every time you wanted to take money out of your account, even when you went to the ATM. So you go to the ATM, boop, 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 withdraw. As soon as you hit the green button to hit accept, I pop up. Hey, Elijah, what you doing? You just told me 2 weeks ago. What the paperwork does, it forces you to think about, what are you using that money for? So how can we create an intentional step? If it's, all right, I'm gonna set money aside into an account in which I don't have a banking relationship. So if I bank at Regions or Wells Fargo, let me set my money aside into America's First Credit Union. And then I'm gonna go to the bank and tell them they're gonna give me a card, but I'm not even gonna use it. I'm gonna put the card somewhere in which, I'm not gonna activate it. So whenever I need that money, I have to physically get into a vehicle and walk into a branch and pull it out. If seeing the money and transferring is easy. So if a separate bank is good, that's fantastic. Now there's online accounts where you can earn a more attractive interest rate. And there's a number of those, and they change monthly. So I have to look it up for the month of March. We usually run reports on those. So there's online accounts that help. But I think when it pertains to 6 months of emergency savings, identify an amount that you can save today, either weekly, monthly, whatever frequency you get paid. If you get paid weekly, save weekly. If you get paid monthly, save monthly. Identify an amount that, if disrupted, it won't disrupt the amount. So I know if you said, man, I know I can save $50 a month like that, start with 50. Action is greater than the amount. That is my number one thing. When it comes to saving, action is greater than the amount. Once you get that in place, once you start setting money aside, then we can get to the right amount. Then we can make sure it's in the right place. Because ultimately, everything in which we're talking about today, Elijah, when it comes to retirement planning for the business owners, the first step they got to take is they got to save. So going from the right pocket to the left pocket is where you'll be able to invest. All right, looks like we got another question.
That's great. So we're gonna head to wrap up. So this will be our last question from the audience. Again, tag people, like and share. So we'll close with this question and close out with Isaac. So Candace has the question: are there any resources for micro business owners just starting out that may not be able to afford a financial and I guess professional is in the next comment? That's a good question.
That's a great question. So some of the resources that I'm thinking about are just due to relationships. I wouldn't be surprised if the name I'm about to mention is going to be a part of this series, but my good man, Damian Carson, Operation Hope. I think he is the fantastic resource. And then as well, just even through this prism, considering what the overall goals and objectives of Urban Impact and Be Birmingham, you can reach out to me at no cost. I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and ensure you could at least have a good game plan, thought process, answer any questions or concerns that you have. So that's a fantastic question. Of course, Damian Carson with Operation Hope is a great resource, but immediately after this, you can reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to assist you at no cost.
Man, that's dope. Tell me about the Financial Navigators program.
Yeah. Man, that is so the Financial Navigator program. So we partner with the city of Birmingham. This is a COVID-19 relief specifically. And so one of the areas in which COVID-19 is immediately highlighted was the need for financial professionals, regardless of tax brackets, right? So in the highest tax bracket, a financial professional is looking more so towards, tax savings, best way to leverage the market and investment opportunities, portfolio diversification, things of that nature. But when you look at COVID-19 and the impact that it's had on the residents in the lower tax brackets that may be under $30,000 a year, under $20,000 a year, under $10,000 a year, the SNAP benefits, the stimulus checks, the unemployment insurance, who is helping them navigate those decisions? Who is helping them navigate when they lost their job in June on how to communicate with the power company to make sure that their power bill isn't cut off? Who's helping them navigate with the landlord that isn't honoring the moratorium and threatening them with documents to send them to a free service to make sure they can speak to an attorney to ensure that they can address that landlord in a time? Who has helped, right? So this navigation of really for Birmingham residents that may not have access to a professional within their family or through their colleagues or friends to help them make some of these decisions. So to date, we've been able to help close to 150 households and direct them to really over 600 to 700 referrals. So organizations like 211, United Way, utility assistance, rent assistance. Hey, Isaac, where's the best way for us to, we need some diapers for our babies. I lost my job. I'm limited on funds. Cool. Bundles of hope. Hey, where's the nearest food bank? Great. Here's the location. Here's the times. This is someone you can connect to if you need any further insight. Hey, I'm actually having a tough time with my mental health. Is there someone I can speak to? Right. So being a resource for these residents is man, it's been warming. It's been heartbreaking at the same time hearing these stories, but also it really shows the courage in Birmingham and the resilience in Birmingham, because these aren't folks that looking for a handout. These are folks that are working, looking for job opportunities, looking to take care of their family. So asking about the Navigator, I got to shout out the team, got to shout out DA and Marn and the IMC team, because they are holding it down, taking calls in daily.
Most deaf. Well, take us home. Tell us about IMC Financial Consulting, where they can find you. We'll put your website in the chat, but how you can help and all that kind of stuff.
Most definitely. Again, thank you for the opportunity. You can check us out, of course, Instagram, IMC_financial consulting. Myself personally, planning 2_22. Facebook, same thing. You just spell the company name out. You'll be able to find us as well. Be on the lookout for some announcements. We have a podcast, a planning podcast. You can subscribe to that as well. And then as well, just a few areas in which the community will be able to get involved on some of the projects that we'll be announcing, but also just to really to be an example for other Black businesses, because we definitely are a melting pot of participants, but we are definitely Black led, and we have initiatives for the Black community that is laid out within our game plan. So we're super excited about the future. Blessings to everyone that was able to partake, and of course, Elijah, thank you for your leadership and Urban Impact. Man, y'all holding it down, brother. So we appreciate y'all.
Man, thank you. I have the coolest job in the world. IMC Financial Consulting with none other than Isaac Cooper. Check him out. Continue to follow him. He's all over social media. So great nuggets today. Great nuggets today. So that will conclude our session. How do I plan my finances? The best thing I heard out of all the things that your business plan and your personal financial plan are directly related. And to that point, I want to put y'all on game. It's this new app that came out called Central Planning Business App. Everyone's like, man, I ain't trying to do a business plan. It's too long. I feel that. So just go to Central, download the app, and you can just do question, answer, multiple choice question, and it'll spit you out a written business plan. So use that in addition to making sure you go and see IMC Financial Consulting. This month, we've got some really cool stuff coming up. Next week, we've got Bobby Boone at Access, who's going to really talk about retail. He's a Black retail strategist and consultant. Next after that, we've got the district's own Fly V talking about how to grow your business on Instagram. After that, we've got Lakeithia Pierce coming back to you with a tax session. And to close us out on March, we've got the Food Truck Summit with Ariel Smith, the City of Birmingham, and Simone's Kitchen ATL. So y'all stay tuned. Y'all stay locked every Tuesday, 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Be Birmingham platforms. Thank y'all, and we will see you soon. So with that being said, y'all know we got to close it out with our video at Mr. Holloway.
I don't know about you, but this is exciting. And I guess you have to actually sit in my office and see me praying and crying all at the same time. Trying to figure out how we can create a better opportunity and create a place that I believe builds on the legacy that